Sometimes the things that see us can hide right in our own reflection. Aisha had always been careful. She kept her laptop closed when not in use, covered her webcam, and used complex passwords. But no one could have prepared her for what was happening now. It started with a chill, a feeling of being watched. Sitting alone in her dimly lit apartment, she shrugged it off, telling herself she'd just watched one too many horror videos before bed. But soon, she couldn't ignore the strange photos that began appearing in her phone's gallery. They looked like photos of her, but taken from angles she'd never seen. Some looked like they'd been taken from her own mirror. One night, her phone vibrated at 3 a.m., jolting her awake. The notification was an email from an unknown sender. The subject line read, "I see you." Shaking, she opened it. "Do you like your new haircut, Aisha?" Her heart pounded. She'd only gotten her haircut the day before, and she hadn't posted about it. Who was this? A chill ran down her spine as she looked around her room, wondering if someone had broken in. But the door was locked, the windows secured. She was alone, wasn't she? Determined to uncover what was happening, she contacted IT support at work. They told her the unsettling truth. Someone had been accessing her camera and microphone, likely for weeks. She took all precautions, resetting her devices, covering every camera, and even disabling her Wi-Fi overnight. For a few days, things were quiet, and she allowed herself to breathe, believing it was over. Then, just when she was starting to feel safe again, a new photo appeared on her phone. This one was different. It was of her, sleeping, taken from right above her bed. The angle was so close, she could see every strand of her hair, the tension in her face, and the terror frozen in her own expression. But what made her blood truly run cold was the shadow in the background, faint but unmistakable, reflected in her mirror. A figure standing just behind her as she slept. The emails began again, this time with instructions. If she didn't follow them, the hacker threatened to send the photos to her family, her friends, her employer. Each task was eerier than the last. Leave your apartment unlocked tonight. Sit facing the mirror for 10 minutes in total silence. Keep your phone's camera on at all times when you're at home. Terrified and alone, Aisha followed the commands, hoping it would all end. But with each task, the hacker seemed to grow bolder. One evening, she heard a faint tapping noise coming from her mirror. Her body froze, and her mouth went dry. She reached for her phone, desperate to call for help, when her screen lit up with a message. "Don't look away." Heart pounding, Aisha stared at her own reflection. The room was still, the silence suffocating. But slowly, her reflection began to change. It shifted, the figure in the mirror no longer mirroring her actions. Instead, it moved closer and closer until it was leaning right into her face. Her own eyes stared back, but they weren't hers anymore. They were empty, dark. Then the reflection smiled. The screen went black and the tapping stopped. Aisha sat there, paralyzed, her own reflection now perfectly still. The next morning, she moved out, leaving everything behind. But the emails continued, no matter where she went.